cut someone some slack. Bite the bullet would have been a good one too.
Bite the bullet. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Like take the
One for the team.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Bite
better
the
late
bullet.
than never too is one I thought about.
Better late than never. I live by that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's always better to show up.
Better late than never, but never late is better. That's what I say.
I feel like you're late a lot.
I've actually gotten better with it, but I am still pretty bad with it.
I got better because in Japan, if you're 5 minutes early,
You're late.
you're late.
Yeah.
10 minutes early is on time.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
I do well there, is what you're saying.
but it also helps because the buses come on time, the train is on time.
That's lovely.
Like in Victoria, like sometimes the bus doesn't even come sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
True, my bus was a little bit late. Like I was worried I was gonna miss my bus to the airport, or like the connector, like the one that took me to Sydney.
you took the bus?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
You know what's dumb? They don't even have a bus to the airport, like directly.
No, they don't. I had to get off. That's what I'm saying. There's one that does
So
take.
dumb.
There is an 87 though from Sydney that takes you there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But I thought I was gonna miss it because the bus was so slow getting there. I was like, oh shit.
To me, that's wild that Victoria's an international airport
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't have transport.
And not all the cab companies can even pick up. You need to have like a certification for it, and like it's really expensive. Only like I think 2 or 3 of the cab companies, which is wild. Yeah,
That's like a weird monopoly thing.
it is. I mean, it's not to go too deep into it, but that's like why it took so long for Uber to get here.
Oh yeah, I knew that. Yeah. Well, they're talking about Uber in Japan. They have Uber Eats,
Right.
but everything's delivered by bike, like electric
Oh,
bike.
that's kind of dope.
And they don't have Uber yet because the taxi companies are so
Yeah, I mean, it was like that here forever. Like
giant.
Vancouver got it first, and Victoria got it like I think last year. Like,
Yeah, no, it was last
It's
year.
been like less than a year.
I
Like,
remember exactly when Uber came out because I was pumped.
you might have been the one that told me. I don't remember.
I might have actually.
I was like
yeah.
pretty stunned.
I'm
Stunned. I don't know. I was gonna say shocked, but that's stunned.
because I Uber was here. We're in Calgary now. Uber has been here for like at least 5-6 years, at least. And I remember when
it
I
was
go
here
to
when I was in high school, or not high school, but like TRU, like first, second, and third year, like we'd go to
Yeah.
Calgary, we could just Uber.
Yeah, so I like Uber actually. I hope Japan gets it too because you know the cost before you get in the car, which is like that's the greatest thing.
Yeah.
Because like we got in a taxi last night and it didn't end up being too much, but a 30, what was it, 34?
Yeah,
33?
mid 30s, somewhere in there.
But if we would have taken Uber, it was 12 to get home. So it should have been closer to 30.
Yeah.
With the waiting time. So it should have been closer to 30, but we paid 35 and then I tipped 5 on that.
Yeah, but I guess we didn't have to wait for the cab. That's a little different. We just waved it down. You can't really wave down an Uber. That's the one difference.
That's true. I do like Uber though, but
the idea of Uber, I remember in Chad Jake's business class, which was like 2014, grade 10 or grade 11. We did a project on like, because Uber, it was like just starting up, the concept of it. And he was like, will this succeed or fail? Well, it was like, we did like a project on it. And I was like, there's no way like people are going to be okay getting into strangers' cars.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought it would be like
everyone
dangerous.
Too scared. Yeah.
I thought it'd be dangerous.
Like there's no proper vetting process
Yeah.
for this stuff. But I guess if you do, like most Uber drivers have too much to lose from a bad experience. So the majority of them are on their best behavior.
That's what's interesting. I actually feel safer getting an Uber than I do in getting a taxi.
Yeah, which is wild. Because like you just, I don't know. I never thought about that as when I was younger getting into taxis. But with Uber, you're right. Like,
but that's how
so interesting.
That's how important the rating system. Like we're talking Google Maps, like food reviews and stuff. That's how important like the rating systems are nowadays. I stay in Airbnb all the time,
right.
And we as a guest also have a rating.
Yeah.
So I always clean up my Airbnb like a lot.
Yeah.
So I've been able to get discounts before where I've been like, I asked for an opening for like 2 months and the guy's like, no problem because you cleaned up so well last time. And I have a bunch of reviews saying that the place was spotless when I left. So I think the rating system is
it's
great.
huge. Yeah, it goes the other way too. I remember last year I was staying at an Airbnb, or it might have been 2 years ago, staying at an Airbnb in Comox for a basketball camp. and like I left like a stain on one of their outside chairs, like on the handle. Like I think I like burned out a little cigarette on it, and didn't clean it, and they were choked about it, and like we had to get a new account because the guest rating went down so bad because they were killing us for it.
But I think
but it's real, yeah.
That's fair though, right? I mean,
small mistake, happens.
I think it's fair, like, but I do like, it's kind of funny that a star system, like a rating system though, will guarantee your safety.
Yeah,
pretty much. Like these 5-star, like if I ever see an Uber driver who's not 4.6,
yeah, right. If you're below 90, that's a red flag.
Yeah, like,
because why is someone going out of their way to give you less than a 4-star? Yeah. Like if you're a yapper, sure. Because if my Uber driver is a yapper, I'm gonna be somewhat annoyed. But
this is interesting, actually. The way Japanese people rate stuff versus how we rate them is very different. I remember you
telling me this, yeah.
So there's an app called Tabelog, which is like your Google Maps for food. And if your store has over a 3.5 rating, then they're like Michelin star places. You're like top, like cream of the crop places. Whereas here, like there's like my dad's restaurant's a 4.8 or 4.7, and I'm like, it's good, but like going to my dad's restaurant is not going to be the best meal you've ever had in your life.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting when you ask people like, how's the food? Like out of 10, they'll be like, it was a 6. And a lot of Canadian people would be offended.
That's not good, yeah.
But in Japan, I think anything over a 3 out of 5 is like, I'd go there again. Mm-hmm. Anything under the 3 is like, I wouldn't go again. And I think that's kind of how they do it. That's how I do it now. So like when I get a new beer, if I rate it a 6, that means I'd like to drink it again.
Yeah.
If it's a 4, it was like, okay, it was all right, but I wouldn't order it.
Well, 4 out of 5 or 4 out of 10.
Sorry, 4 out of 10.
Yeah. Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is super interesting because it's almost like the way I would explain it is Canada's rating system, at least as it pertains to restaurants or services, is more like you're doing them a favor. Like they will ask you, especially a new restaurant or a new place, they will ask you to give like a 5-star rating, or they'll even like give you something for doing it. They're like, leave us a review and a rating on our new startup or whatever it is, and we'll give you a free like haircut, or like a free, like your first haircut's free, or like a free drink, or like free fries at a restaurant and stuff like that. So they really like push the high ratings. Yeah. So people will do it just to be nice. Maybe it's just Canadians are too nice and they're not honest.
I think so. For the food stuff though, like it actually bothers me because like it's hard to tell now. Like everything's over a 4. It's you're either a 4.2 or a 4.6 out of 5. Whereas in Japan, like seriously, like I'll go to a place and if it has a 4, like I'm expecting the best dinner of my life, which is awesome. And I like that the reviews in Japan, like people are honest about every dish. Mm-hmm. But I kind of figured out why. With food specifically, because we have a tipping culture, and in Japan they don't tip. They really look into the food deeper. I think in Asian culture in general, we tend to put a huge value on the food, whereas I feel like dining here is a lot of times the experience. It is the ambiance, the energy, the environment. It is. That is what's prioritized, especially like downtown at the bigger establishments, which is funny because like it's a totally different, like you're selling something completely different. And it makes sense, at least in Victoria where I live, because of the standpoint that there's not a ton going on relative to bigger cities. Whereas in your bigger city like Tokyo, there's obviously so many restaurants. It's so hard to stand out. So like having an accountable or like a reliable rating system is more valuable and more effective from like an information standpoint. Whereas everyone's just trying to be nice and have a good time. And like, it's interesting. I like it, but I don't at the same time. Like I wish it was more about the food and I wish it was more honest and I could be like, oh, I want to try this place out. But it's a 4.3 and not know if it's going to be good or not. Yeah, that's what sucks. Yeah. Is like you think you're going to, and there's lots of good restaurants and they're not always like this, but yeah, I've been to a 4.3 star restaurant that was like terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you're
mid,
paying
yeah.
bad much.
Bad value.
Yeah. You'll love Japan when you come out. I'm saying when you come out.
Yeah.
You have to.
I will.
You guys are gonna see Maru in the club.
With 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
No, that's what they're gonna be doing. But this.
You'll love it because the experience is more about like it's more easygoing. It's kind of funny because you think of Canada and the States as like these really like open cultures and like stuff like that, and Japan is definitely more reserved. But when Japanese people go out, they're really good at separating work and social, really good. And you can tell by their fashion because everyone's wearing suits and like white shirts Monday to Friday, but then Saturday, Sunday, like Japanese people have really good like sense of fashion.
Love that.
And like they'll get like nicely dressed up, and I think that kind of explains like going out. Like they're very good at separating. This is my work life. This is this life. Whereas over here, like, I mean, half the conversations I had yesterday were about work.
Yeah, or like, what do you do? Or like, what are you doing? That's like, everyone kind of just wants to talk about that, it feels like. I wonder if that's like an age thing, just mid-20s. People are like, a lot of people are doing different things. Some people are like getting high-profile jobs. Some people are living with their parents.
But yeah,
no disrespect.
We are. I'm one of them.
Yeah,
I live with my mom.
Right now. That's what I mean. Like, I lived at my parents not too long ago. I want to say it was like 2 years ago. So like, that happens. Yeah,
that's another interesting thing. Actually, I think in Canadian culture, it's more common to move out early. Like
it is,
or you have to pay rent to your parents. I know quite a few people who've had to do that. Whereas in Japan, like if you're in university, 100% you're staying at home, or not, unless it's in a different city. But a lot of my friends are 27, still live at home, and they don't really get judged for that. Yeah. Whereas here at 27, I feel like you're really pushing it.
Yeah, the line feels like 25. I don't know why that is the line per se, but that is why. And like, there's a ton of benefit to it. Like, you can save up a bunch of money. So like, I feel like as long as you're working or you're in school, like you're doing something productive, if you live with your parents, like it has like, there's a stigma to it, like we're kind of alluding to and addressing. But it's like, it's probably better, especially in Victoria, where it's so expensive pretty much everywhere.
I was gonna say that our hometown, like we don't like before in the past, it was like, you got to move out. But now with our generation, it's too expensive to move out. So
I'm
people
going through that right now.
Like a lot of people are like moving cities, right?
I keep thinking about that.
Which is interesting because like in Tokyo, a lot of people who are in Tokyo moved from the countryside,
right,
to work. Whereas now it's like a lot of people are moving out of the bigger cities and doing like remote work. I feel like over here. Yeah. Like I would do better if I lived here, actually.
Yeah, because it's just a cheaper place to live.
Yeah, it's cheap.
And like it's great. Yeah. Like there's a lot of good things about it. You just got to be able to accept the cold.
Yeah. Well, I think Calgary is super underrated for anyone watching. Like if you ever make a trip to Canada, add Calgary to the list, especially if it's a summer, because you do Calgary and then Banff, which is awesome. Most people know Banff. But I think a lot of people just do Vancouver, Toronto, like Victoria. I would say Victoria over Calgary. But I would do Calgary. I think Calgary better than Vancouver, unless you're into hiking. If you're into the hiking, Vancouver is
West Coast Trail and all that stuff.
Definitely.
I'd also throw Montreal on that list too, just because it's so different from a cultural standpoint. I haven't been in too long. I really want to go back soon. But yeah. And if you know, like if you're multilingual, like if you understand French too, like it's especially in the summer. Again, the winters are really cold everywhere outside of Vancouver and Victoria. So you that's just Canada for you. You're taking an L on the winter regardless.
Yeah.
So
taking an L on the winter.
L is a loss.
Yeah. Take it to take
like this in my head.
I like that phrase. We should add that.
Yeah.
Let's just
take an L.
Well, let's add that to the video.
Okay.
So use it or lose it. Take an L on something means you're taking a loss.
It didn't go your way.
Yeah.
It could be like you lost a game, like a video game, like Jacob last night lost a Mario Kart game. He took a pretty big L, almost hurt his finger doing it, but
I kind of hit the couch like this, but I think I hit my cell phone case.
Yeah.
And yeah, I literally cut myself.
Yeah, so he took 2 L's there. So for me, we're using it and it's double thumbs up.
Yeah.
Because he took an L when he lost the race and then when he hurt himself for lose like.
Yeah. I like that, to take an L. Use it or lose it, thumbs up.
Yeah,
on
we're doubling it.
Take an L. Awesome.
He bounced back. He did well after. I will say that. He started playing a lot better. The alliteration is there.
When I'm editing this video, there's gonna be like 100 idioms. Like we started filming this for the idioms.
So that I just dropped like 10.
You dropped ones that are actually a lot more useful than the ones that
that you picked.
That I planned. Yeah.
But he also asked me like which ones do I use, and I couldn't come up with like any. It was very difficult for me to like think of the ones I say, and then we start recording them, and I just naturally blurt them.
Well, that's the thing. That's why like Japanese people love studying. A lot of Japanese people have deeper vocabulary than some of the Canadian people I know, just because they spend so much time like studying, and they're actively thinking about it. Whereas with actually, you have a deep vocabulary. Yeah, you
It's
do.
decent.
But for you, it's not a conscious thing, right?
Yeah, like it was for a little bit. Like I did learn these words. It actually started with like when I was, I want to say like end of high school, beginning of college. I was watching a lot of like First Take. And Stephen A. Smith always drops words that like I would not know.
Yeah.
And I just like had to look them up and then found ways to incorporate them in everyday speech. Some of them are like too far. Like when he says vitriol, I'm like, what? Like just say you're mad at someone.
Yeah, yeah.
Just say you're angry, dude. Like that's too far.
There are some that are. I think
but I like asinine. Like that's another word for ridiculous.
Asinine?
Like they're just like words that you can drop there, and then people are like, ooh.
That's kind of what I like. I actually like English for that because I feel like you can show a lot of personality. Like we're gonna play this game with Kayla, my sister, and her and her husband use absolutely all the time. And again, like good word, but I don't use it.
Indubitably.
I would say for sure, like for sure, 100, or I'll say at 100%. But Kayla's like absolutely not.
I might say yes sir or no sir.
Yes sir. That's like a basketball thing. I feel like.
Kind
yes
of.
Sir.
Or hell nah.
Anyways, I just realized we need to do the thumbnail photo. Okay. So I would get just a little bit closer, and you do 2 thumbs up, like smiling, and I'll do 2 thumbs down, like sad.
Okay.
So just look at the camera.